Parshat, Chukat, chapter 19. Adonai spoke to Moses and Aaron, saying, This is the statute of the Torah which Adonai commanded, saying, Speak to Bnei Israel that they bring to you a flawless red heifer, on which there is no blemish, and on which there has never been a yoke. Give her to Eleazar the Cohen. He will take her outside the camp and slaughter her in his presence. Then Eleazar the Cohen is to take some of the blood on his finger and sprinkle it 7 times toward the front of the tent of meeting. While watching, he is to burn the heifer, her hide, flesh, blood, and refuse. The Cohen is to take some cedar wood, hyssop, and scarlet wool, and cast them into the midst of the burning heifer. Afterward, the Cohen is to wash his clothes and bathe his flesh with the water, and afterward he may come back into the camp. Still, the Cohen will be unclean until evening. Also, the one burning it is to wash his clothes and bathe his flesh with water, and he will be unclean until evening. A clean man is to gather up the ashes of the heifer and put them in a clean place outside the camp. They are to be for the community of Bnei Israel to use as water of purification from sin. The one who gathers the heifer's ashes is also to wash his clothes, as well as be unclean until evening. It will be a permanent statute for Bnei Israel and for the outsider living among them. Whoever touches any dead body will be unclean 7 days. He is to purify himself on the 3rd day, and on the 7th day, then he will be clean. But if he does not purify himself on the 3rd and 7th days, he will not be clean. Anyone touching the dead body of any man who does not purify himself defiles Adonai's tabernacle, and that person will be cut off from Israel. Because the cleansing water was not sprinkled on him, he is unclean, and his uncleanness will remain on him. This is the Torah for whenever a person dies in a tent. Anyone entering the tent or anyone inside the tent shall be unclean 7 days. Any open container not having a lid fastened upon it will also be unclean. Anyone out in the open field who touches a dead body, whether killed by sword or was killed by natural cause, or touches a human bone or a grave, shall be unclean 7 days. For the unclean one, they are to take some of the ash of the burnt purification offering and pour some fresh water into a jar. Then a clean person will take some hyssop, dip it in water, and sprinkle it on the tent, all of the furnishings, and all the people who were there, as well as the one touching the bone, the one killed, the corpse, or the grave. The clean person will sprinkle the unclean one on the 3rd and 7th days. He is to purify himself on the 7th day, and on the 7th day he shall wash his clothes and bathe himself in water, and at evening he will be clean. However, the man who is unclean but does not purify himself will be cut off from the community. He has defiled the sanctuary of Adonai, since the cleansing water was not sprinkled on him. He is unclean. This will be a permanent ordinance for them. The one sprinkling the cleansing water is also to wash his clothes, and anyone touching the cleansing water will be unclean until evening. Anything touched by an unclean person becomes unclean, and anyone touching it will be unclean until evening. Chapter 20. In the first month, the entire community of Bnei Israel arrived at the wilderness of Zin. The people stayed at Kadesh. There Miriam died and was buried. Now there was no water for the community, so they assembled against Moses and Aaron. And the people quarreled with Moses, saying, If only we had died when our brothers died before Adonai. Now why have you brought the community of Adonai into the wilderness, for us and our livestock to die here? Why have you brought us from Egypt to bring us to this evil place, a place without grain, fig, grapevine, or pomegranate, and there is no water to drink? So Moses and Aaron went from before the assembly to the entrance of the tent of meeting, fell on their faces. Then the glory of Adonai appeared to them. Adonai spoke to Moses, saying, Take the staff and gather the assembly, you and your brother Aaron. Speak to the rock before their eyes, and it will give out its water. You will bring out water from the rock, and you will give the community something to drink along with their livestock. So Moses took the staff from before the presence of Adonai, just as he commanded him. Moses and Aaron gathered the assembly in front of the rock. He said, Listen now, you rebels. Must we bring water from this rock? Then Moses raised his arm and struck the rock twice with the staff. Water gushed out, and the community and its livestock drank. But Adonai said to Moses and Aaron, because you did not trust in me, so as to esteem me as holy in the eyes of Bnei Israel, therefore you will not bring this assembly into the land I have given them. These are the waters of Meribah, where Bnei Israel contended with Moses, where Adonai showed himself holy among them. Moses sent messengers from Kadesh to the king of Edom. Thus says your brother Israel, you know all the hardship that came on us. Our forefathers went down to Egypt, so we lived there for a very long time. The Egyptians mistreated us and our fathers, but we cried out to Adonai. He heard our cry, sent an angel, and brought us out of Egypt. See now, we are at Kadesh, a town on the frontier of your territory. Permit us to pass through your territory. We will not cross through any field or vineyard or drink water of any well. We will travel the king's highway. We will not deviate to the right or left until we have passed through your territory. But Edom said unto him, you may not pass through me, or I will march out against you with the sword. Bnei Israel then said to him, we will travel on the main road, and if we or our livestock even drink any of your water, we will pay its price. It's nothing just to pass through on foot. He answered, you may not pass through. Yet Edom came out to oppose them with large and well-armed people. Since the Edom refused to permit Israel to cross through her territory, Israel turned away from them. The entire community of Bnei Israel set out from Kadesh and came to Mount Hor. Now at Mount Hor, near the Edomite border, Adonai said to Moses and Aaron, Aaron will be gathered to his people. He will not enter the land, because I have given to Bnei Israel, because you rebelled against my command at the waters of Meribah. Take Aaron and his son Eleazar, and take them up Mount Hor. Remove Aaron's garment, and put them upon his son Eleazar. And Aaron will be gathered up and will die there. Moses did as Adonai commanded. They ascended Mount Hor before the eyes of the whole community. Moses removed Aaron's garments and placed them on Eleazar his son. Aaron died there at the top of the mountain. Then Moses and Eleazar descended the mountain. And when they saw Aaron had died, the entire community mourned Aaron 30 days. Chapter 21. When the Canaanite king of Arad, who lived in the Negev, heard that Israel was coming along the road to Antharim, he attacked Israel and captured some of them. Then Israel vowed to Adonai and stated, if you deliver this people into our hand, we will put their cities under the ban of destruction. Adonai listened to Israel's plea and delivered up the Canaanites. They put them and their cities under the ban of destruction. So the name of the place was called Hormah. They traveled from Mount Hor along the route to the Sea of Reeds in order to go around the land of Edom. The spirit of the people became impatient along the way. The people spoke against God and Moses. Why have you brought us from Egypt to die in the wilderness? Because there is no bread, no water, and our spirits detest this despicable food. So Adonai sent poisonous serpents among the people, and they bit the people, and many of the people of Israel died. The people came to Moses and said, we sinned when we spoke against Adonai and you. Pray to Adonai for us that he may take away the snakes. So Moses prayed for the people. Adonai said to Moses, make yourself a fiery snake and put it on a pole. Whenever anyone who has been bitten will look at it, he will live. So Moses made a bronze snake and put it on a pole. And it happened that whenever a snake bit anyone, and he looked at the bronze snake, he lived. Bnei Israel moved on and encamped at Oboth. And they sent out from Oboth and encamped at El-Arbam, in the wilderness facing Moab toward the sunrise. From there they set out and camped in the Wadi Zered. And they set out from there and camped along the Arnon, which is in the wilderness extending to the Aramite territory. The Arnon is also the border between Moab and the Amorites. Therefore it is said in the book of wars of Adonai, Ahab in Suphah, and the wadis of the Arnon, and the slope of the wadis that leads to the side of Ar, and lie along the border of Moab, and from there on to Beer. This is the well where Adonai said to Moses, gather the people, and I will give them water. Then Israel sang the song, spring up, O well, sing about it. The well the princes dug, that the nobles of the people sank with their scepter and their staffs. From the wilderness they went on to Mattanah, and from Mattanah they went to Nahahel, and from Nahahel to Bamoth, and from Bamoth to the valley and the fields of Moab, where the peak of Pisgah overlooks the wasteland. Israel sent messengers to King Shion of the Amorites, saying, "Permit us to pass through your land. We will not turn aside into field or vineyard, nor drink water from the wells. We will travel on the king's highway until we have passed through your territory." But Shion would not let Israel pass through his territory. Instead, Shion called out his entire army and marched out in the desert to oppose Israel. And when he came to Yahaz, he fought against Israel. But Israel struck him by the sword's edge and conquered his land from Arnon to Yabbok as far as the Amorites, because the border of the sons of Ammon was fortified. Israel conquered all these cities and occupied all the Amorite cities, Heshbon and all its towns. Heshbon was the city of King Shion of the Amorites, who had fought with the former king of Moab and had taken them from his control all the land as far as Arnon. Therefore the poets say, "Come to Heshbon, let her be rebuilt. Let the city of Shion be restored. For fire went out from Heshbon, a blaze from the city of Shion. It consumed Ar of Moab, the master of Arnon's heights. Woe to you, O Moab! You have been destroyed, people of Chemish. For he has given up his sons as refugees and his daughters as captives to Shion, king of the Amorites. But we overthrew them. Heshbon as far as Dibon is destroyed. We have demolished them as far as Nopheth up to Medeba." So Israel was living in the land of the Amorites. After Moses sent spies to Yazer, they captured her towns and drove out the Amorites who were there. Then they turned and went up the road to the Bashan. Og, king of Bashan, went out to confront them, he and all his people, in battle at Edrei. Adonai said to Moses, "Do not fear him. I have given him with all his people and his land into your hand. You are to do to him just as you did to Shion, the Amorite king who was living in Heshbon." So they struck him and his sons and his entire army until no survivor was left to him, and they possessed his land. Chapter 22. Then Bnei Israel set out and encamped in the plains of Moab, along the Jordan, across from Jericho.